Yo, what's up, guys? Main here. So let's get into the charts. We've had Ethereum continue to rally. CPI came in okay. Everything is pointing towards the Fed potentially making rate cuts soon. Inflation is down. We have the next FOMC meeting just a couple of weeks away at the beginning of June. Are we going to see some rate cuts going into the summer, or is it going to be more of the same from the Fed? Looking at crypto, we've had this absolutely monstrous rally off of the lows. So if you've been following along with me, you hopefully have made a little bit of money over the past few weeks. We've been bullish on Bitcoin after we put in this weekly SFP. There was a setup on the 3 drives here. There was another setup that we played here, and there was another one that was offered here. So multiple opportunities to get in some of this move. Alts, some of them ripping. We're seeing meme coins multiples 3, 4, 5x off the floor. Ethereum, again, $2,600. Solana, I think peaked at over $180. And the trenches seem to be alive potentially again. I don't know how true that is. I don't pay enough time spend enough time in the trenches, but we've seen some runners, as the trench warriors have to say. So are we back? Is this the perfect storm? Is Trump avoided disaster, where just a month and a half ago everyone was calling for his head, that he had crashed the market with all of this tariff nonsense, he was doing everything wrong, to now where the stock market, we're almost back at 6,000 on the SPX. We have rallied almost 25% off the low in basically a straight line. We have deals being made. We have a pause on the tariffs with China and a reduction of those huge tariffs. So is this it? Is this the perfect storm? We're back. We're going to all-time highs. Or is this potentially a bear market rally, where this is actually going to lead us to another lower low and then potentially upside from there? There is some similarities to this move here, where we had our rally, our nuke, another rally. In this instance, we made a higher high and then a major correction and a bear market. So that's the question that I think everyone is asking. Here's the beauty of what we have to deal with right now. We got bullish near the lows, which allows us, again, I've said this before, to have some optionality in terms of what we want to do. There was tons of money to be made in this move. In my opinion, the meat of the move is over. The meat of the move is over. Whether or not we're going to all-time high, whatever, there's going to be some sort of reset, aka a pullback or consolidation before the next major leg, whether that be up or down. This is not just going to go up like this to 150K. If it is going to go higher, I think it's much more likely that we go sideways for a bit first, allow positions to get reaccumulated. Remember, there has to be buyers, right, to push things up. There's definitely some profit taking going on here at former all-time highs, at resistance, okay? The price has gone up vertically in effectively 2 candles here on the monthly, 42%. So we caught the majority of that move. And again, that gives us some optionality where we don't need to be chasing. What you're going to be seeing on Twitter right now is a lot of people who missed this entire rally. Now they're starting to get bullish. Now they're saying, hey, we're going to all-time high. Everything's going up. Time to get exposure. Where were all of they down here? That's the beauty of being early, right? You don't have that FOMO where you're like, I need to get exposure now. We're back above 100K. You had quite literally over a month to accumulate at 80K. And sometimes even below 80K. You had multiple weeks, multiple months where you could have accumulated below 90K. Now is the time to start reassessing, in my opinion, and that's what we're doing. So let's cover Bitcoin first, and then we'll kind of just work our way down the list. I apologize for not getting a stream going today. Just day got busy, work stuff, running one of the fastest growing crypto companies on the planet. No big deal, just trader main shit. And then I had to go to the gym, and my wife is sick, and blah, blah, blah. Remember, not gay. I've got a ring. And I don't know if you guys noticed, your boy's got a new camera. Your boy's got a new camera. Look at this. Look at how it fucking Look at this, dude. How it just like focuses, bro, and the detail. But now no one is going to believe my age when I tell them I'm a young 42 because they can see all of my wrinkles. It's like crazy high def. I'm still working on the lighting. I think it's better. Seems more natural, but seems still quite bright. The light's barely on. It's so bright. Anyways, we're going to start with Bitcoin. So I marked out this sweep and posted it on Twitter. And I said, okay, finally, we've got a sweep here. This is probably where we get some sort of pullback on Bitcoin. And I think we don't really want to see us go below the yearly open. And what are the comments? Cope. This guy's been bearish the entire time. I'm getting to the point where I might stop posting charts on Twitter just in general. There's like zero benefit for me, to be honest with you. I much prefer YouTube. I much prefer TikTok, to be honest with you. I did call someone the R word, though, and I got like a fucking strike. I didn't know that was banned. I guess TikTok is not based like Twitter is or YouTube. Anyways, so people, Cope, he's bearish, blah, 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 in your dreams. I'm like, bro, when you longed here and here and here and stuff, and you were bullish down at the lows, you were expecting this move up, right? I didn't know it was going to go all the way up here, but we definitely were expecting this, right? So when you have that ability, people now who are getting long late, it's just a sign. Twitter is just data, right? So if I say, hey, this might pull back to here, and people are like, what the fuck, bro? You need a dip? It's not going to dip. You're a bear? What the fuck? That tells me everything I need to know about this person. They're not smart, and they're in late. They're poorly positioned. Because if you long down here, you're going to be like, awesome, dude. I would love to take some profit maybe and re-long or just get long here. The only people who don't want to pull back here are people who have been longing Bitcoin and alts over the last 7+ days. Those are the people who don't want to pull back, right? So it's just funny to see, but it's just annoying, man. There's so many fucking dummies on there, and YouTube's just such a better audience, you know? Anyways, so Bitcoin put in this sweep, and we're just kind of chopping sideways here. We do have an H12, H1 setup locked in here on Bitcoin. So you have your H12 sweep, and we had an H1 structure break here, right? And there's your breaker. There's your retest. We even retested the raid candle itself. Right there. It's probably a nice 78.6. So you could be short Bitcoin right now. Super easy invalidation right there. Target probably here. I think that's probably Monday's low. There you go. I think that's a legit trade you could be in. We're breaking below Monday's mid-range right now. So if this does roll over, Monday's low, I think, is the obvious target. Now, I'm not saying it has to do that. It absolutely can go up from here. Remember, this highest monthly close level is key SR. So as long as we're holding this, it can just go up again. It doesn't have to pull back, right? But if you are short, if you took the H12, H1 short, your invalidation is super clear. Otherwise, I don't really have a trade on Bitcoin itself. If we get some sort of sweep of Monday's low, some sort of deeper correction, right, into here or even into here, those are all long opportunities. So first area I'm looking for a long is here. Second area would probably be somewhere below these lows, touching the top of this order block. And then the next area is going to be this kind of zone here where I'd be looking for a setup to form. Okay, so I'm not bearish. I'm just looking for places to potentially long if we pull back. Now, what would get me bearish? What would make me think, okay, this was all fugazi, fuwutsi? It would simply be us losing the yearly open. In my opinion, we don't have really any business going back below this consolidation for any significant period of time. If we get like a wick down there, by all means. But if we retrace this, then I think there's a very high likelihood that this is not a higher low anymore. This is just a lower high and a bear market rally, and we're going to fucking die, and everyone's going to be poor, and it's going to suck. So let's hope that that's not the case, but remember what I'm looking for, right? We're going to see how this weekly candle closes relative to this. We're also going to be watching on any pullback if we do get this low, what happens there. Do the bulls step in? Do we see a reaction? But the highest value long is like this. Whether or not we get that deep, I don't know, but that's what I'd be looking for. Low 90s if that comes on the swing side, on the low time frame side, the day trade side, Monday's low, or it might just go from right here. But no position for right now for me on Bitcoin. We are holding that H12 sweep. So if you're a bear, there's your invalidation. If you're a bull, we need to break and close through there. Simple, okay? If this, then that, remember? Now, let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum has been actually very strong. And if you look, we have actually a bit of an SMT here. I'll illustrate this by putting these charts right next to each other. So let's go 4 hour. And then let's go delete this. And let's go 4 hour here. Okay. So we have a lower low. A lower high on Bitcoin, and we have higher highs on ETH, BTC, okay? What does this tell you? This tells you that, one, yes, ETH is stronger, but it also tells you if we're going to get a pullback, Bitcoin is going to dump harder than Ethereum because ETH is stronger. This made a higher high. This failed to. Similar to kind of how an RSI divergence works. ICT calls them SMTs. But if you're now looking to short Ethereum or Bitcoin based on this chart, and the ETH chart, you know that this is going to be the highest probability short. Not highest probability, but the highest beta short out of the two assets. Okay, so ETH BTC higher high, BTC USD lower high. So if we are going to pull back, I think Bitcoin pulls back harder. I do think ETH can maintain its strength. Obviously, we have the same SMT you're seeing here. Higher highs on ETH, lower highs on Bitcoin, right? ETH back inside Monday's range now. So potentially we could be seeing, and I remember my video yesterday I posted just for the Telegram homies. We're back inside Monday's range, potentially going to trade towards Monday's low. Something to watch, right? On the higher time frame for ETH, this is a very strong move. I don't think we come all the way back down here, but if Bitcoin gets a really strong correction, I'm a buyer down here at like 2K all day. Again, I'm not saying that that's going to happen. It could come down and just stop right here. This could end up being the demand, right? It confluent with Monday's low. This would be a long I would take, right? But if we get a giga pullback, similar to Bitcoin going to low 90s, ETH going to 2100, 2100 or 2000, that's the area I'd be looking. The only trade I'm actively in right now is a Solana Monday's range short. I signaled this in the Telegram. I obviously signaled it in the Haven with stop, entry, take profit, all of that fun shit. So very straightforward trade. Again, if you want to know how to take these trades, watch my Monday's range videos. I have 2 of them now, and I talk about them all the time. And I know many of you guys are printing using them because you guys keep telling me you're always going to find a Monday's range trade generally on one of these assets. I only am looking at the big 3. I haven't even opened the door to all of the different altcoins that you could be trading this strategy with. It works. Okay. Monday's high. Not quite there. Not quite there. One of these is going to have it. There you go. This is a great Monday's high short, right? Monday low. This had both. There's your Monday high, Monday low, reclaimed, traded to Monday's high, fell back inside, back down towards Monday's low. So you could have gotten 2 trades out of here easily. So if you're paying attention and you're scanning and you're just flicking through your charts, so I always tell you guys, Monday's range, take a look. Right? So that's what I'm watching for on Solana here. I took the short. We traded above Monday's high. We put in a nice little sweep, bearish retest right there, and then structure break, bearish retest, structure break, and then potentially rolling over again here. We got a little bit of support here at Monday's mid-range, but if this falls off, I do think we end up taking out Monday's low. So I closed half of my trade here for about 1.5R, but at this point, you could just be trailing your stop. Trailed to there, made another low, right? Probably, if it makes another break, can trail it down to here. Could preemptively do it with the sweep, but we're going to wait and see. So that's what I'm watching on the big three, okay? Looking at equities, I do think that there's a good chance we come and clean up this gap or some of these gaps, dude. So, like, we've got quite a few bullish gaps here on ES, including the one that we had to start this week. I would not be surprised at all if, along with Bitcoin and shit pulling back, we get some sort of pullback into this. I think it's very much possible. So something to watch if we get a bit of a correction on equities, maybe to end the week, the high of the week's in. We're now underside retesting the yearly open. Lots of confluence for this to be potential pullback zone. I'm not saying we're going back down to new lows, but we could be getting a decent correction here, right? And that would be confluent with Bitcoin going back into the 90s, okay? So something to watch there on equities. We also have the dollar trying to get back into this range. And again, the correlation's not always inverse, but if the dollar's able to reclaim this range and we get some sort of weakness on equities, weakness on crypto, I wouldn't be surprised to see this creep up, which also very much lines up with my gold analysis that I posted on Twitter as well. Gold looking like it's finally time for a bit of a pullback, looking like a double top here, starting to lose some support here. So maybe this is going to trade back down to like sub 3K for a little bit, and then we'll see. But it's been on an absolutely insane tear, insane rally. So I'll do a longer stream tomorrow or Friday where we'll go into more stuff. I just wanted to get something out for you guys. But just remember, I know there's euphoria. The trenches are hot. Are they hot, or are the same people who usually make money in the trenches making money in the trenches, and most people are getting cooked? Like, I don't even know the names of all the coins. Like, let me see if I can find a couple of them. But like a couple of them are already like fully nuked, like Glonk or whatever, and House Coin. Like a lot of these things, like it was like 2 or 3 days. So, and then obviously the meme coins, right? Fart coin. Everyone's like, fart coin, fart coin, fart coin. Like no one will shut up. We were talking about fart coin down here. If you've been watching my videos, we've been talking about fart coin on the weekly demand level since March, right? And then we talked about it again in April. And then we talked about it again at the end of April, the start of May. This thing is up 500%. But there's people who have caught this last 50% move for like, we're fucking going straight to $10. Shout out to Dip Wheeler, right? But again, a lot of these moves, like a big portion of them has already played out. I'm not saying they can't continue to go higher, but like how much higher? Like some of these candles are looking kind of ugly, right? Like, again, everyone, where were you for the 500% move? They caught the last leg, and now they need it to go higher because they weren't bullish at the lows. So I'm just saying, be cautious. I'm not saying we can't continue to go up. We absolutely can. But I would much rather be defensive here and see a clear, like if Bitcoin gets above here, like strongly, like everything's going to go way higher, like full on balls to the wall risk. But the risk of being a gigable here is way higher than it was like a month ago, because Bitcoin's up 40% and a ton of stuff is up 5-6x. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say. Call me a bear, call me whatever you want. We crushed the last month and a half, in my opinion, in terms of nailing the move. And now that we're back at the kind of really a key area of interest, you just say, be cautious, and everyone starts coming at you. It just tells you these people have caught just the last leg, right? They just got bullish over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And I think that there's still room for more upside, but I would rather be cautious, allow price to come to me by either giving me a pullback to long or ripping through highs and establishing a fresh market structure high and then going from there. Okay? So that's all I got for you this week, guys. Let me know. Is the new camera good? Is the lighting good? It's supposed to be more natural. I do feel like it's a little strong. I might have to put the other diffuser on just to chill it out a little bit, but otherwise, I'll talk to you all soon. Much love. As usual, if you want anything with me, links are in the description. Telegram, The Haven, The Indicator, The Breakout Prop, all of my fucking ref links, my tip jars, everything. My TikTok, my Instagram, my mother's maiden name, everything you need, my dog's name, his meme coin. I'm just kidding. There isn't one. It's all in the description of the video. All right, guys. Love you so much. Talk to you soon. Stay safe. Bye.